Hi, I'm Alexandra. I'm the Assistant Director and Adolescent Therapist here at Houston Neuroscience Brain Center, and I'm here to show you the home training setup, what it's like, and this can assist you at home. Okay, so to get started, the first thing that you need to do is click on your Betterfly home emoji. It's the one with the house and the little person head in it. You're going to double click, and this little notification is always going to pop up, and you are always going to click yes. At this point, you can start to type in your username and password. And as the application pops up, you can see that there is a red X mark right here, if you can see my emoji or my mouse, and then a green check mark. This is where your name will pop up and how many sessions you have left. Here we have one. Well, we want two green check marks, so you're going to click the first drop down and you're going to click on the device you have. The device you have will say the name. You probably have a Genius. I have a UWIZ, so I'm going to click on UWIZ. If yours says Genius, you will click on Genius. And as you can see, we're still not connected, so you have to click on this drop down. I just have one comm that pops down. You might have several, so you'll need to know which USB port you plugged into and click on the correct one so that you get two green check marks. And you can see this set threshold button has now turned blue and it is clickable. But we don't need to click it yet because we're going to have to set up. You'll need to go to the second tab called electrode placements and click on that. This is where you're going to have the brain map to show you where to place all of the quick inserts and ear clips. So this protocol today for the demonstration is going to be CZ linked ears. You might have a different one that I'm going to explain each of the colors and what that will mean for you. So here you can see in the brain map, we're looking down at the head. CZ is at the top of the head. You can see the nose up here, and that A1 and A2 are outside of the circle. They represent the ears. And so anything that's circled inside of the circle will need a quick insert, and anything outside of the circle will need an ear clip. So A1 is circled in black, so it will need an ear clip. A2 is circled in green, it will need an ear clip, and CZ is circled in red, it will need a quick insert. The red is always, it's known as the active, and it will always need a quick insert. The green is known as the ground, and it will always need an ear clip. The black one, which is the reference, might be a quick insert for some protocols, and it might need an ear clip for some others. Now that you have the brain map, this is going to tell you where to put the quick inserts and the ear clips. You always want to look at this map, even if you've done the protocol many times and you think you know what you're doing. It's always really good to have it as a reference just so you can securely know that you're putting all of the device wires in the appropriate spots. Once you finish up your setup, we will go back to the main screen, but first let me show you what setup looks like. Here we are, it's time for setup. So you might have one of these caps. The red is the smaller, this is the medium, and the blue is the large. And so today I'm going to be using the red, but for reference, we'll also show the blue. Whenever you place the cap on the head, you want to have it inside out. You can do it really however you want, whatever works for you, but you just want to make sure all the electrodes are placed in the appropriate spots. I like to start off with it inside out with the tag facing me because this is going to be the front. And so the red and blue is the easiest to notice because the two FP1 and FP2 are in the middle. And then I like to put a Kleenex over those and then place the cap on. But today we have a size red head. So it's inside out, the tag is facing me, and I'm going to place the Kleenex on FP1 and FP2. If you forget what that is, you can see it up here. It's the two that are going to go right above the eyes, and you can see FC is in the middle between FP1 and FP2. So I like to put a Kleenex. You don't have to do a Kleenex at home if you don't want to. It helps to not get the indentions on the forehead. It can be a little bit more comfortable. And then I like to use it to clean up the gel whenever you're done, but you can use however you want. But in this case, you want to, I put my fingers under it like I'm kind of pinching it so that my thumbs can guide. And then I just go and I place them right above the eyes. And then I've been able to maneuver it where like one hand holds and the other hand pulls back. You can also have the person hold the forehead part for you while you pull over, or if you're putting it on yourself, I like to just put it on in front of the mirror. And then I just want to make sure that everything is set. So I look and make sure that the FZ and the CZ are right going between the eyes, and then I come here to the side and I want to make sure that CZ and C3 are lined up right here with the ears. So then that way I know that I have good cap placement. So, end scene. So now that we have the cap on, we need to place the wires. And so this is the way that I have found to be most efficient. I like to start with the gel and with the quick inserts first, and then I do the ear clips. And so what I do is I take a syringe, and you really don't need a lot of gel. I just need to fill one little plastic cup. And so I don't even need I'm not even going to use this much gel. You want to start off very light. You want to fill up the cup where you know that the gel is full in there and reaching the scalp. But if you start putting too much gel in the cap and it spreads really far, then it's going to pick up on electrical activity in different parts of the brain that we don't want to train and can cause some interference. So what I do is I like to hold the plastic cup with one hand and then put this in until I can feel it reach the scalp, and then I just put a little bit in. As you can see, I probably just used half of that to start off with. I do a little push test. I can see it coming through. I've done it a lot so it doesn't get too messy. You get the hang of it after a while. And if you want, you can kind of wiggle it around to make sure it's touching the scalp. So I have the gel in, and now it's ready for the quick insert. So this is what a quick insert looks like. You have the metal tip, and I'm going to plug this into the red because quick insert is going to go into CZ, like I mentioned before. Quick inserts go on the parts of the brain. So I'm plugging it into the red circle because, like I showed you earlier, CZ was circled in red. So I'm plugging into the red. We're matching colors here. And then I want to take an alcohol wipe. You'll want to have plenty of these on hand. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it ready. You want to make sure all of the equipment is so clean, because if you get any oils from the hands, any dirt or anything like that, you might not get a good connection, and then you're gonna have a rough time. Rough time. So I'm actually gonna put this through this loop so you can see it better. So what you want to do to secure the quick insert is to pull it under this plastic loop, and I kind of measure it out where it's like 2 inches or so above CZ. Because what I want to do is I want to go under and wrap it again. And then that's why I want to wipe it right before I stick it in. Because if I wipe it earlier and I'm doing all this looping, it might touch my hand and get oils on it. So I'm wiping this tip really good with the alcohol wipe, and then I'm going to immediately stick it in. And then I measured it pretty well, so I don't have much to pull, but I like to just pull it so that it's very like aligned with the head and isn't super loose or wires going everywhere, and just push it in. Another thing that I forgot to mention earlier when I was putting the gel into the plastic cup is sometimes if the gel does come out, some people's tendency is to take their finger and wipe it away. You don't want to do that because you don't want to put any oil inside of this gel. So, okay, we have a quick insert in. I'm going to put this wipe right over here because I'm going to use it in a little bit. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to take an ear clip and plug it into the black circle. And then since I'm doing 2 ear clips, I'm just going to go ahead and grab another one. You have a blue and a white one, most likely. I'm just using 2 blues. It really doesn't matter what ear clip color you use. That doesn't really have anything to do with it. I think the company just does blue and white ones so that you can tell the difference between the ear clips. But I'm plugging this one into the green. So I'm putting this black one on this side because A1 is circled in black and this is the A1 side. And I'm putting this green one over here because A2 is circled in green. I'm going to get some of my paste. And you want to put paste on these ear clips. And I like to say you want to use a healthy ice cream scoop, an ice cream scoop that Alexandra would love to receive. So you want a good amount of paste on there. I like to scoop it on like one half and then the other. This isn't the prettiest scooping, but that's what one side is going to look. Let's see if I can make this one a little bit prettier. You really don't need it to look pretty. You just want to make sure that you're covering the metal piece because you don't want the metal to touch the skin. I don't know if that's helping, but okay. So these are all prepared. So as long as your alcohol wipe isn't super dirty and it hasn't dried out, I'm going to wipe the ears really good. You want to make sure to get any sunscreen, makeup, oils off the ear. So like one little dainty wipe isn't going to be enough. And then it's okay if the person has earrings. You just want to make sure that the metal isn't touching the earrings. So I'm wiping this pretty well. And then I immediately like to put the ear clip on it. The reason why I like to wipe it right before the ear clip is placed on it is because if you're working with a little kid and you wipe the ears and then it takes you another 2 minutes to get the ear clip on, well, the kids, for some reason, their tendency is to immediately touch their ears after you wipe them. So to avoid any, oils getting back on the skin, just try to put the ear clip on there as soon as possible. Okay, so as of right now, we have all 3 wires in. Everything was put on very clean. And now is the most important part of setting up the session. Okay, so now is the most important part of setting up because if this part doesn't go correctly, then your session is not going to be trained correctly. So we have the 2 green check marks. This now turns blue. We are going to do what we're about to call setting the threshold. And this is where we take a minute of data of the brain's electrical activity so it can know how to set baselines for the session. It's very, very important to get correct baselines that are an accurate representation of your brain frequencies, because if we don't have accurate baselines, then the training is not going to be efficient. So we need the client to sit as still as possible. We needed to do everything as clean as possible to remove any potential artifact that can interfere with the EEG. So let's go ahead and give it a shot and see how it goes. So you click the set threshold button, and I immediately like to hop over to this third oscilloscope tab. It's going to give you a little warning that your threshold calculation is about to begin. So please connect the electrodes properly and sit quietly without moving a lot while the system measures brainwaves. So my volunteer is sitting very still and relaxed, and so she is ready for this to start. I'm going to click OK, and we're going to have a 3-second countdown. And we're going to be looking at this EEG. This is a really pretty EEG. You can see a little bit of wobbliness right there. That's probably from my feet because I am walking around, and that just goes to show how sensitive the EEG is to movement. It can pick up on the vibrations of my feet because my UWIS wire is along the floor. You can see that there's a timer where it says 38 seconds left, and then you want to be, so there's another little spike. I'm moving around. I'm going to get back to my position so that this calms down, but to get my mouse. So this also shows that if there's anyone else in the room, like dogs, brothers, sisters, that everyone in the room needs to be really still because we are wanting to check that this red EEG line is very clean. Like this is a very clean data collection moment right there. And everyone's EEG might be a little bit different. I'm working with a teenager right now, so it's very normal for us to see very tall EEGs. Like you can see this one's going to the positive 20 and the negative 20. Adults, as they age, just naturally have lower amplitude. So you might have a slightly smaller EEG than this. Some people might have a slightly larger one, but nothing should go higher than 40 and lower than negative 40. It's very on average to stay between 20 and negative 20. As you can see, the minute ended, and so There was some movement throughout this EEG, which will tell me that there is going to be, um, which is going to affect the average. Right here, though, her numbers aren't too alarming. I tend to look at the 4 to 10 hertz, which is in the middle. As you can see right here, it says that her average for her 4 to 10 range is 15.76. So this right here doesn't seem like a bad threshold number. Just because I've worked with a lot of clients, I see what averages are, and that's a pretty good number. Some people, like the younger kiddos, might even be in the 20s for their 4 to 10, but you would never really see anything above 30. If this 4 to 10 hertz is averaging 30 or higher, then you know that you've had some threshold issue, some connection issue, or a lot of movement, and you'll need to do this again because we need these numbers to represent her accurate frequency ranges so that she can get the most optimal training. While these numbers look pretty good to me, I do know that there was some movement, and so I want to try this again where there is no movement. Um, Please refer to your home training packet for any tips and tricks for getting a good threshold. And if you're not getting a good threshold, of things that you can try to circumvent it. For example, sometimes having chargers on the computers, having your laptop fan, that can cause some interference. So in this situation, I'm going to click no, I don't want this threshold. I'm going to go back to main screen, and here it says restart threshold. Let's try this again where I am not walking around and causing what we call artifact in the EEG. Artifact is anything that makes the EEG move. I'm looking at her numbers. You want to look at the EEG, but you also want to look at the numbers down here because you can already start to get a glimpse of what they're looking like. It looks like her 4 to 10 has been at 15. It's also been at 11, at 6. This is such a pretty EEG. I'm very happy with this. Okay, so now here we are, and we can see that we did it again without any artifact. And if you can read it, I'm not sure if you can, but now her 4 to 10 is 11.9. So that is going to be more true to her numbers because there was no artifact. Let's say if there's a day where you are having a hard time not getting some artifact and it was 15, I would say that you could still train with that. There are going to be certain days where our numbers might fluctuate a little bit. You're never going to have something exact every single day, but you would never want to train with her at like in the 20s or 30s, 40s or higher, or anything really, really low, which it would be very rare for someone to get something very low. There would be like no connection at all. But this is an example of what a good EEG is. So you're going to click yes, I love it. I'm going to take it, go back to main screen, and now you can see that the buttons have changed to start session. After we start session, it gives you a warning to be still throughout your session. And just be mindful that there's a pause button up here in the top left that you can pause at any time. This is the end session. You can also pause here. And you want to be checking your oscilloscope throughout the session. I personally like to have mine peeked out in the corner over here. I'm going to go ahead and pause this. Where I pause it, I go to my Netflix. I'll pick my movie, and then I'll kind of put it there so that I can watch my movie and watch my brainwaves at the same time. Whenever you're done with your session, you'll go to main screen, click end session unless it ends for you. It'll automatically end for you at 70 minutes. You end early, you'll click end yes. And then if you drag this screen, you can see the score that you ended with. and that can let you know. If you're not able to see it, you can always email me and I can let you know what your score is. If you don't drag it and you just exit out of it, the whole program immediately shuts down and you won't be able to see it. So you'll want to be able to drag that if you're curious where your score was at the end.